Well, we are back today after the Super Bowl. The football season is now over with. What are we going to do with our lives? We always talk about what are we going to talk about. It's going to be slim pickings here for a while, but I mean the big game has come. It's gone. It was played. Some would say not to the satisfaction that people wanted it to be played at. But that was a football game. That right there was football. It reminded me very much of 2000's ugly football, where the defense wins the game, quarterbacks don't look great, and for most people, I don't think that they liked it very much. But that's what happens when we get to these big games.
We had too good of a playoffs. That's the problem. Is that this kind of is what happens is you have the really good buildup that the Super Bowl is usually a blowout. Yeah, that's kind of like the running joke, and this year kind of felt the same. Like you have the Bears having a lot of fun, those great two games, right? The AFC madness, with the is this a catcher or not? The snowstorm AFC championship game, the NFC shootout, right, between the Seahawks and the Rams. So it kind of, if the trope continues, it's you had a great run up, so now this had to kind of stink. And I wouldn't even say it stinks. Just we all picked the Seahawks for a reason. We thought they were the better football team, and we all looked smart because they looked like the better football team. Sometimes it's just that simple. And, I don't want to toot our own horns. We make plenty of wrong predictions around here. But that's kind of our overarching theme of last week was the Seahawks are really good at football. And you know what? They looked like they were really good at football, enough so that they're Super Bowl champions. Kind of felt like it kind of was one of those weird things. Everything we kind of expected to happen kind of happened. Does not happen often.
Yeah. I will say that this was almost so obvious for us that we all got it right, which is like a statistical anomaly, especially if I'm picking. But I would say, too, that we knew this would be a defensive game with a young quarterback on the Patriots and a veteran quarterback who sometimes struggles, has played very well throughout the playoffs, but, you don't want to put the weight of the world on that guy's shoulders, per se. But I will say that it was am I yelling? I can't hear myself.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
I'm fine.
I will say that this was a defensive battle, and defensive games don't make great TV. They just don't. The best TV games are the ones where the offenses are going crazy, everyone's scoring. Those are fun to watch. It's the real ball knowers that are like, this is a great game. Did I think it was a great game? Not really, because at points, I don't know how far do we want to talk about this right now? Like go into the Super Bowl right now?
Well, I mean, I can do an overall and we can go back.
Yeah,
to it.
Go ahead.
So,
I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, no. So the Seahawks win 29-13. The Seahawks defense had 6 sacks, 3 turnovers, didn't allow their first points until the fourth quarter. Kenneth Walker was the Super Bowl MVP at over 160 total yards. He had a touchdown that was called back for a holding call there at the end. I think the biggest theme for me, and this is, I feel like every year at the end of the year, we don't think about it till the last game of the year. Offensive line matters. And, Patrick Mahomes can tell you that from last year's Super Bowl, and Drake May is going to be able to tell you that from this Super Bowl. As much as Will Campbell loves that man and says he's going to protect him, he was awful. I think he allowed 14 pressures. There was a play, I know the left guard is also a rookie. Riley Mills got his first sack of his career, and he just pushed that man back into Drake May, and it was one of those things. So I think, offensive line matters when you don't have protection for your quarterback, especially he's a second-year quarterback. It's one of those things. And the other problem for Drake May is he doesn't know what he doesn't know, because it was one of those games where it was just sometimes he just had no idea what was going on. And he got a taste of football last night, and it didn't go too well. But, I don't know. But I think the other thing is Sam Darnold didn't really have to do anything. His best availability was to not turn the ball over and let the defense play. And I'd make an argument, kicker and punter maybe should have won the MVP.
I'm surprised you're making that argument, as your own Michigan State's finest, Kenneth Walker, takes it home. So, kudos to you for looking past the blinders and the bias to go in that direction.
Well, Jerry, the punter had 15 points, and then, the kicker had 15 points, and the punter pinned him inside the 10-yard line 3 times. The one time they're bringing everything they have, I have no idea how the hell he got that ball off.
Well, that's special teams obviously matter too. And that's something this really did feel, even with the final score, it was still that game of feet, game of inches. It's not letting a block punt go off. The Seattle team in total did not make plenty of mistakes, and any mistake was very minor. There were multiple picks that Sam Darnold almost threw, but guess what? They weren't picked off. That's a huge changing game. If the touchdown attempt, I think it was like on 3rd and 2, when the Seahawks are in good field position, and he goes for JSN, and that ball's almost picked. That changes this game, right? When it's like 19-7, it says 3 more points. The one time Drake May gets hit out of the many and he throws the ball, there's a Seattle guy right there. Boom, that's 6 points. Like this, even with the game where Seattle just played, I think, better in all phases of the game, it still came down to a couple moments. And I think that's also what's most frustrating if you're a Patriots fan, is that this is one of those games where you didn't look better in any shape or form throughout it. But for most of it, you're one touchdown away, you're one score away, you're just a couple field goals away. It's like it is a quiet ass whooping. Like it wasn't a loud this and that. It's you're getting sacked again. It's 3rd and 15 when you get to 3rd down, not 3rd and 3. Oh, you're 4th and 2. You're not even thinking about going for it, right? There was probably some point where I think Vrabel needed to get more aggressive and maybe go for a fake punt or something like that. There's a 4th and 1 in the middle of the 3rd quarter, I think it was, where they didn't go for it. It was around midfield, and I'm like, I'm kind of surprised. I know it felt kind of obvious, right? If the simpleton's like, you should fake punt here, usually means that it's not that thinking it too. But it was just a lot of like these small moments made this game feel like such a big beatdown. Because again, even those 29 points, you take away a strip, fumble, sack, whatever we want to call it, strip interception, that's 6 there. You had a couple of field goals and only one offensive touchdown. Like it was a very weird, yes, you could say boring in some degree, but Seattle was just better in every facet of the game. And we talked about Kenneth Walker being a difference maker. Man, he was so clinical. The way he extends rushes. Shout out to, I think it was Tirico, pointing out his former Wake Forest time, because you really saw in that one run, I think it was around the 4th quarter, where he stops completely, like it's full slow mesh back in the day. And then the gap goes and he gets about 8 yards. He's just sitting there waiting. That really played off huge. So glad that we shouted out Kenneth Walker beforehand. Any Michigan State positive press, good for Caleb. So that's really what boost up Caleb's ego.
I think going back to this, like the offensive line play specifically from the Patriots, the biggest issue with that is you make a second-year guy have to make decisions in a split second, and against that defense. That is a defense where you want to give your quarterback the most time to process the most information. As Drake May gets older, as he gets more experience, that reaction time and that process time will be faster and faster. This is not a Drake May is a bad quarterback game. Drake May got exposed for how inexperienced he is. And I would say the Patriots as a whole got exposed for how inexperienced. I think that Patriots team is a good team, a very good team. But with the pressure that the Seahawks were able to create, even when he wasn't getting pressured, you could see how fast he went through his progressions. He didn't let the plays develop because he has an internal clock that is, I have to get rid of this ball or I'm going to get sacked. That is the biggest issue with the offensive line play. Again, I don't think Will Campbell's a bad offensive lineman. He was a first-round pick. He's a left tackle for a reason. I think that he is a rookie. I think that there are plenty of left tackles, even great ones, that you could have thrown in that spot, and they would have had the same thing happen to them if they were rookies. I think that it's genuinely the difference between someone who's been in the league for less than a season and someone that has been in the league for 5 years, whatever it is. I think there's a huge difference. So I think the Patriots will be a great football team. This really made me sad about Bo Nix and his ankle because I was like, dude, I would have loved a Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl. I think that would have been a really good game. But things happen. But we texted about it. The decisions at the end of the game, again, could be rushing, could be just. I really felt that like the Patriots had some momentum with about 5 minutes left in the 4th quarter. They had two big plays back to back, and then also Drake May misses his tight end, who was wide open.
Yeah.
So I think there was some really good. I think they had a lot of really good momentum into that pick that kind of just sealed the game. But this is something that can, and I will say that the Patriots defense also played very well. I mean, a lot of the times you think defensively, a field goal can sometimes be a win, especially with how close the Seahawks got in the red zone to the goal line. I would hang my hat on how many times you force them to kick a field goal, how many times you keep them out of the end zone. Jackson Smith-Njigba, best receiver in football. Kenneth Walker, unbelievable. Sam Darnold playing like the man on fire, dude. Now that didn't really happen in the Super Bowl, but leading up to the Super Bowl. So I just think it was the perfect storm for the Seahawks. Like Jerry said, like you said, Caleb, they just excelled every part of the game. I mean, they were talking about how the punter is probably the best punter in the NFL. And what Super Bowl are we discussing the punter? This Super Bowl, when it really matters, which that's a part of the game that gets overlooked a lot. But I think the lack of offense shows how important all the other aspects of the game are. So Seahawks definitely deserve it. They had a tough road to the Super Bowl. Patriots as well, but for them to win it and this kind of cap on Sam Darnold's story, not saying he's done, but to be able to achieve this is something that's like movie worthy. From the amount of times he was told no and kind of shunned from the NFL, for him to lead his team to the to the Super Bowl, I think is really cool.
Well, when you look at that in the draft class that he was drafted in,
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, him, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Two of those guys are MVPs. Baker has had a resurgence himself in Tampa. But, when you think about, Sam Darnold made it to a Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl before Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, it's crazy to think. Now, it's just sometimes right place, right time, the team that's around him, but he was able to take advantage of it. And, he didn't have to play great yesterday. NFC Championship game, he did. He stepped up in that game. Yesterday, I think Collinsworth said it towards the middle of the third quarter, I think right before they scored the touchdown, he goes, they're just looking at, we just need to kick field goals. Keep kicking field goals. We're going to win the game regardless. So, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. But no, I mean, it is crazy to think that this guy's had this road for 8 to 9 last years. If you're a Jets fan, you're like, well, we drafted a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He just didn't win it for us. But, he's able to turn it around, figure it out. And, that team, it's one of those teams that I'd feel like they could be unstoppable, but their division that they're in is so tough, where it's like, they played the Rams and it was like, well, that was the de facto Super Bowl looking at it now.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny, too, in a league where it's all offense, all young offensive minds. You had two defensive-minded coaches in the Super Bowl. They both gave each other the best of what they had. And Mike McDonald comes out on top, and I think he's got a chance to do something very special moving forward in Seattle.
Well, the scary thing is that a lot of that core is staying together. This is not the team that was built to win one. This is now a team that is built one and can win more. I really look back to, I keep making the cliche of game of inches, this and that. Imagine how different this conversation is if Sam Darnold's last two games with Minnesota do not look the way they do, where he struggles, he doesn't play well, he not say chokes away in the playoffs, but has that bad playoff performance, and he basically loses himself millions of dollars. Because the reason the Seahawks team is so scary going forth, I think both these teams are scary going forth because there's a level of youth here, right? But Sam Darnold's on a pretty decent deal. This is not max quarterback deal that's sitting here in Seattle. And they've just proven by running through the harder of the two divisions this year, especially in the playoffs, that the AFC having, especially like Lamar being out, the Chiefs not being the Chiefs, right? Like we look back at it, the NFC road this year I thought was just tougher in general. You had some great come-up stories in the AFC as well. I'm not saying the AFC is bad, but this was just that year. Next year might be a totally different conversation if you bring back some of those star pieces, right? And even when we talked about the AFC, we're like, hey, this is a chance for someone to break out. His name was Josh Allen, not Josh Rosen, also drafted in that class, by the way. But, and that didn't even happen. But instead we have Sam Darnold going through. But, like, that's what I really think about because you have Darnold on a decent deal. But look at how different this might be. This Seahawks team may not exist in its current format without that team-friendly-ish deal because he doesn't play well in 2 games in the NFC North, right? And in the playoffs. That's how quickly these things change. Both these teams, mind you, not in the playoffs last year. And it makes it so hard to forecast because a year ago, Trevor was a way happier man watching his Eagles absolutely dominate, right? We're thinking, oh my God, Roseman's built this super elite team. They've done all these contract deferrals and they have this really star-studded roster. They're out in the first round of the playoffs, right? Like, but it's just how much these little moments make up so much because we're going to talk about the Seahawks a lot next year too. Obviously, they're going to have the target on their back. They're in a great division, but they're not in the worst spot. This is not we got what we needed, and now we're just going to stink again. That really helps McDonald. It really helps everyone in that organization because you can sit back and I don't want to say guaranteed repeat this and that. We've learned everyone who watches the NFL, no one's going to say that right now, nor should they. But should this be a team that you should already expect to be in the playoffs with the amount of pieces they have back? Yes, because they are not in that traditional build of like, oh, we got to retool everything. They don't. And that's what's even more scary to me, even more than the Patriots. I think we joked about it, and I still fear that this is the perfect type of loss that makes the Patriots a impending dynasty again. But really, the team that might end up doing more damage could be the Seattle team that, even in the biggest game under the biggest lights, didn't play their best football and still looked all the bit better than the best team from the AFC, at least the team that got through all of that. That is scary.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, I know everyone involved with the NFL has way more football knowledge than I do, but I think this should be a reminder that you don't need the star-studded quarterback to win the Super Bowl. You need a guy who makes the right play. And I mean, like we say all the time, especially when we get closer to the draft, I hope the Raiders don't go quarterback. I hope they go somewhere else. Because quarterback is now such a rushed position where if you're not Drake May and you play good your rookie season, you play even better your sophomore season, people are calling you a bust already. But if you can get the pieces to surround someone who just makes the right play, I think this should be a reminder that you don't need the Patrick Mahomes. You don't need the Josh Allen. You don't need the Lamar Jackson. We just said those guys haven't even made it to the Super Bowl yet. They're all world. There's no one in the world that are better than those guys. But we have Sam Darnold, who is on a phenomenal team, and he just made the right plays in the Super Bowl, and he won a Super Bowl championship. I hope that's a reminder to the NFL, and especially for the younger quarterbacks who don't perform well right away, that you don't need him to be the next Patrick Mahomes. You don't need him to be the next Tom Brady. You need him to understand the system and make the right plays. That's all you need. And that's what you get in a veteran quarterback who's bounced around the league and has seen a lot of different things, not always great. Think about his Carolinas days, his New York days, where he struggled, but he's seen those things now. That's something that he can add to the Rolodex of information he has now and go, okay, this is not how you react in this situation. And then you see him do well in Minnesota, and he shows that he can make the right plays. And then he does that in Seattle, and I just cannot overstate how awesome I feel for Sam Darnold and what he's been able to do.
No, I mean, like I said, it's just been a great, great story. All right, so looking at their unrestricted free agents for the Seahawks, Kobe Bryant, Josh Jobe, Kenneth Walker, and Tariq Woolen are all free agents. So not like they have not like the Eagles where it's like Josh Sweat, Milton Williams,
JSN's out in there. Sam Darnold's out in there right now, right? That a lot of that defensive line's out in that discussion right now. Like that's the huge thing. And you can pay some of those guys too. Kenneth Walker made himself a bag. Let's be adults here. Especially with Charbonnet going out and him getting better. And that's not a diss at Zach Charbonnet. That 2-back duo was impressive. Terrible for fantasy teams because of how Charbonnet was stealing, right? But like Kenneth Walker reminded folks that he is one of the best backs in the league. He's going to get his bag. These guys will get some money, but yeah, who are we not talking about? I think is the scary part of the Seahawks. And even with and what really scares me about them is their weapons. And I think that it showed in this game too, because you had 2 really good defenses. JSN goes out in the middle of that game. Yes, they have a cushion, and they still were moving the ball. Part of that was Kenneth Walker. Cooper Kupp showed up. Their tight end was solid, right? And they're just that much better with that good of a defense. I don't know if I'm ready to make the league-altering decision on quarterbacks through Sam Darnold, partially because he was just really talented in bad situations. But it is a reminder of just how much situation I think does matter. Because in this same draft class, we talk about Baker Mayfield. When he left Cleveland, he did some of the best work a Cleveland Browns quarterback done in recent memory and still got treated like you know what. So I do really find it interesting how important those early stages are. And for those lower level teams, like, okay, as a Bears fan, we sit here and we've been doing this all our lives. Caleb Williams next year might be terrible for all we know, right? Like, I hope he's not, but it's so easy to watch the same cycle of young quarterback with promise get put in a situation that's not conducive to their success, and then they flounder off, because for every Sam Darnold, there's a Mitch Trubisky. And I think that's what I find very curious. And you almost need some of those teams to take those swings, because if you want Sam Darnold experience, you need Sam Darnold failure, right? Unless you're in a situation or a spot to do so. So it's hard for me to readjust the market, because there's also only so many Sam Darnolds that people will take a chance on, because there's plenty of Sam Darnold stories. I don't know how many of them either A, have that talent, or B, are going to get that third and fourth chance. Again, just go through all your favorite teams that keep drafting quarterbacks. Go through that Rolodex right now. How many of them would you think are going to do a Sam Darnold 2.0? That's kind of the hard part of this, but also quarterback's the hardest position to evaluate. That just is what it is. It's been forever. If everyone knew how to do it, this league would look a lot different. Patrick Mahomes is the guy from Texas Tech who threw for 4 million yards but couldn't hit like a 5-yard pass at some point. Now he's still brought a team to multiple Super Bowls and won multiple Super Bowls, right? Like, I don't know if it's Sam Darnold is necessarily like this whole switch on philosophy, but I think the Seahawks in return showed how to build a really good roster without an elite quarterback. And that also, like, that's harder to do, because quarterback can also make up for a lot of problems, i.e. a Lamar with they've done the Ravens all these years, especially the Bills. The Bills just kind of give Josh Allen whatever. Well, they're paying him, off the wazoo. It's like, hey, Khalil Shakir is your best receiver. Good luck. Or, hey, we also got you Stephon Diggs and Swiss cheese on the offensive line. Have fun, right? But that's the beauty of this game. It's a beauty, and how deep the parity is right now, that we're talking about two teams that have really good futures, especially Seattle, that built it all in one season, really. Kind of had some pieces that were in the works, found one good quarterback on a deal that was really nice for them, and turned it into a Super Bowl winning roster, and one now that, again, we look at and we go, this is a team that could do a lot of damage next year. And there's so many organizations that pray for that type of success. I'm looking at you, Cleveland.
Well, I think the other thing too is John Schneider now wins his second Super Bowl with a completely different coach and a completely different team. That is one of the craziest things. One of those things, I don't even know if it's ever happened before, where a guy has been a GM and won with a completely different coach and a completely different team. All brand new. So he's built 2 Super Bowl winners. Some would argue 3. Didn't happen. Run the ball next time. They learned. And, so I think that's the other crazy thing too, is you have a guy who it feels like can build a team no matter what you give him, as long as you give him time. And yeah, moving forward, it's like, okay, what can you do now? My question for you guys is do you guys think that Drake May will or could fall into the made it in his second year and doesn't make it back? Looking at Joe Burrow and a Dan Marino.
Well, when I look at those guys, I don't look at them being the problem. Dan Marino's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback. It's not like their games have gotten worse. It is also, again, that same level of team building. Now, one of the questions that's going to come up with Drake May, and it's going to come up with a lot of these quarterbacks that are in the same class as him, is how much are they worth? Right? I do think if there's any adjustment to be made from the Sam Darnold conversation, it's not that you don't need an all-world quarterback. Maybe I disagree with you on that point, Trevor, but it's how much do you pay your all-world quarterback, right? Like, that's going to be, I think, a high point of discussion, because these guys who are getting max deals, you understand why they do, right? This is the most important position in football. I will always stand by that and go from there. This is a guy on offense that touches the ball every play, even on handoffs, unless you're doing halfback directs. And if you're doing halfback directs, you're not in the NFL, unless you do it once a season and it's a total trick play, right? So this is the guy who touches the ball every single offensive possession. You've got to have some level of trust in them. Now, in a couple of years, when Drake May's up for a contract, Jaden Daniels is up for a contract, Caleb Williams is up for a contract, the question is going to be who gets the biggest bag and what will those teams look like? And I think that's also the specific case in Joe Burrow. They've built some nice pieces around Joe Burrow. We always joke about the offensive line. That man has every weapon you could think of except anybody in front of him. Like, you have Jamar Chase if you can get the ball to him in time, right? You have all these and stuff like that. Dan Marino, obviously a more historic example of this, but like, we're not talking about a subpar Dan Marino. That's a prime level player and one that's rightly in the Hall of Fame. So is there a chance he could? Yes. I trust the Patriots to build better and to continue to build forward than some other organizations like that. Like, I still don't trust Cincinnati to do so, right? In other situations like that. So I don't know if Drake May never makes it again. I don't know how much that's going to fall on his shoulders unless it's past that rookie deal and he's making the max, and then it's hard for them to build around him, which that's also a world where this discussion matters. But it's hard for me to put it all on Drake May to do so, because if you give him potato chips on the offensive line right now, or there's real struggles, doesn't really matter if he's getting paid 50 or 15, right? So that's where I'm going to be really curious is how these teams build, and especially like with the Patriots, where you go forward, because you have some holes. It was obvious, but it's not. You didn't make the Super Bowl by accident, right? You have some core pieces there, and I do. And again, this is the guy who's second in MVP voting. One bad Super Bowl does not mean that Drake May is a bust. It does not mean the Drake May hype was not warranted. But for him to get back, and it's hard to do it, it's going to be about the pieces around Drake May. I do believe he's good enough to do it again, but each of these teams get better. That's what we're learning, is that you can't just solely rely on quarterback. I do think that is a fair point to take.
I mean, I see kind of the argument. I mean, like Jerry said, there's a lot more than how does Drake May play, and if he'll ever make a Super Bowl again. But I think that the league is at a point now where there are so many super hyper competitive teams, where I think maybe now more than ever, it's hard. It's the hardest to have a dynasty. I think there are so many good teams. I don't know. I mean, I would say that probably 90% of the divisions have someone in their division that could plausibly win a Super Bowl. Maybe not the NFC South, but or the AFC South probably, or actually the AFC South could. But anyways, most teams have someone that is hyper competitive. I think if you this could never work, but if you had injuries don't exist, we play best of 7, the Super Bowl could have looked different. Were the Patriots necessarily the best team? I mean, they could have been, but the AFC, I think specifically is so competitive. The Chiefs are still there. The Bills are still there. Now they don't have their head coach, but the Ravens look different. The Chargers are different. The Broncos are different. The Jaguars are different. The Texans are probably a Sam Darnold away from being a really good team. I just think, and to be kind of play devil's advocate, I think that the AFC particularly is super competitive. And I think if you want to make the argument that he might not ever make a Super Bowl again, that would be mine, is that, there are probably 10 teams in the AFC right now that are hyper competitive teams that could have just as easily made the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is both sides of it is, the biggest thing I think that we look at and go, they'll be back, is they're ahead of schedule. They won 4 games last year. And now they're, I think they won a total of 17 games or something total on the playoff run or whatever. You play who's in front of you with the injuries and everything. They just went out there, they played, they did what they needed to do. To Trevor's point, it's look, there's a lot of guys that we think are going to make a Super Bowl that have yet to make a Super Bowl. I'm probably going to guess that Patrick Mahomes is going to be back in a Super Bowl. I have a feeling sometime Josh Allen may figure it out. Lamar Jackson with Jesse Minter and kind of the same defensive style that we watched last night is probably going to make it back or make it to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it is a weird thing because we look at it and, nothing's guaranteed, but it's just, when you have a guy like this, because, I mean, everybody thought the same thing with Dan Marino. I was like, oh, they'll be back. He was MVP that year, threw for 40-some touchdowns, 5,000 yards. And Joe Burrow, it's like, oh, that team with that? No, man, they'll be back. So I just think the biggest difference is we trust the Patriot brand and kind of everything in that building to get back. And I think I trust Mike Vrabel. That guy is
Yeah.
a very good coach. He, he's got a taste of it now. He's learned from two legends when it comes to coaching. And you know, I trust him. So I think they'll be back. To Jerry's point, they probably have learned a lot more from this loss than they would have from a win, I think, when it comes to how to be back. But it is very, very interesting to think about, because there's no guarantee, and who knows? The Raiders could draft Mendoza, and he could be great. Who knows?
No, think about it. Who's going to be running that Seattle defense or not Seattle offense? The Raiders offense.
Yeah.
Clint Kubiak, the guy who was getting a lot of credit for a lot of the decisions that were made in that Seahawks game and some of those good offensive sets. It is a hyper competitive league. That's why the NFL is so watched and so entertained, and you only have so many chances to do so. It's what makes this so fun, but also makes it so hard. Is what makes what the Chiefs did just recently really impressive. What like the Patriots done so impressive. Because even in those conditions, not that much has changed, right? This is not a sport that's gone through. They're not NBA in this where you have like 14 different aprons to determine which draft pick you get and if you can afford a guy. Like rules has all stayed the same. And one thing that I think is going to be very curious, especially in the AFC, you had some major coaching changes. The NFC obviously as well, right? But I specifically look at the Ravens, right? That's a huge one to go from Harbaugh to Minter. Steelers, right? Pat McCarthy, is in that spot, right? There's so many those switches I'm very curious about because I don't think it makes the AFC less competitive, but even if one team is not there, it changes this so much. But yeah, that's the beauty of the sport. It's what makes this a lot of fun. It makes the unpredictable runs, which I could argue is both of these teams, probably more the Patriots specifically, that much more fun, but there is no guarantee these guys get back. But I think both these teams are built in a way too, in terms of structure, contract, youth, etc., that you have better chances to crack at it than even a team like the Bills. The Bills are, I feel like, 2 or 3 years away. It's all done, right? Like, yeah, you moved on from McDermott. What happens if next year is just an absolute, what show? This all looks very much different. Both of these teams, but specifically the Patriots, have a lot more youth to work with. That gives me hope that they can build on that. Granted, yes, you're drafting at the back end, but you're working with rookie deals, not trying to make everyone get a max deal or cut X, Y, Z amount of players. So, yeah, I think we've gone through the future of the NFL really well. We can't do too much draft preview. We got to say that for the 18-hour show that we're going to do at some point.
I will say the combine is in 2 weeks. It's hard to believe that, but it's back. I will say too, the other thing and what makes the NFL fun is neither of the teams who played last night made the playoffs last year, so anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was a great season. Super Bowl was an old school football game. The people that, get all excited about offense or whatever, that's what football really is. But no, it was fun. Nolan says, Monday Night V.O.C, tell your kids. Gents, always a pleasure. Amanda said, y'all are bums. Seahawks goated. I'm pretty sure we all picked the Seahawks. I don't know how we're bums. Nolan says, Bad Bunny in Japanese would have been more entertaining. And that's where we're going to go next. Story that was the most controversial, and it probably shouldn't have been because it was just a halftime show of a Super Bowl. I will say, now, I didn't understand one lick of what he was saying. The only thing I understood was Lady Gaga. But I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was, from a production view, and I know Jerry kind of looks at stuff like this too, I thought the production was awesome. I thought the colors, like the vibes, like everything about it was fun. Someone got married during the halftime show. And it's like, also, the entire thing was about unity and bringing people together. And he said, God bless America. I understood that. I thought it was good. I did. I didn't understand it. Not saying I'm the biggest Bad Bunny fan, but I don't know. I didn't think it was the worst ever. I've watched worse, but that's just kind of my take on it. Like I said, for me, production-wise, I thought it was amazing.
Oh, yeah. No, the production about this is cool. One thing I've noticed, and this is not Bad Bunny specific, but now, especially like the Apple halftimes last couple of years, one thing I do think that stinks is that these are made for television now. To which is both very cool. That production value, as you said, Caleb, was awesome. Like the way the camera's following him as he's moving through this elaborate set, like the pre-recorded thing where he falls through. His fall through is real, but obviously way that, and it's staged up, and they have the nice video of the guy and all this. Now, granted, now the Super Bowl, it's so hard to get into in the first place that if you're watching it live, you have way better, way different issues in life than, us three who are like, oh man, that's cool, right? Stuff like that. But it is made for television. It did, I think, perform well on television. The vibes were awesome. I have to admit, it's one of those like more just fun shows. Again, didn't understand what the hell is being said. Don't care. The vibes were cool. You could get me dancing to it. I was just laying in a nice couch. I didn't move, but like that was part of the fun. Like the vibes about it are real cool, but I do miss that. Like when you look back, even like maybe 10, 15 years ago, it's more of like a concert. And this is not Bad Bunny specific. Even Kendrick's performance was a very scripted, put together thing that was fantastic for television, right? But like if you're watching it live, may not have the same vibe to it, especially like if you're in like a lower seat. Let's say you got that type of bag and you can't see past these like little trees and all this stuff like that. Maybe the vibes aren't there as much, right? But no, perfectly well produced. But that's what the halftime shows turned into. Is it's like own secular performance or almost like mini concert that's not like a live production to a studio to the audience, but to America, right? To the NFL. And with that in mind, I think it was really well done. And again, it was fun. Got to drop a political message in there. We got to do that. That's what happens now. This is not new. It's never going to be new. And still, as much as this is going to be crazy to sound, this is the NFL doing what they are always going to do, which is try to keep the eyeballs and get more eyeballs from different places. They're going to play in France next year, guys. Like this is, the NFL is trying to expand. When they talk about possible NFL expansion, they're like, they're going to throw a team in London. People just say that like casually. Think that is kind of, and I'm not saying that's a guarantee or I think that's where the sport should go, et cetera. Don't care. But the whole goal of these halftime performances for the Super Bowl, as well, is to get wide-ranging audience. You got Kendrick Lamar after one of the most public rap beefs that took over the cultural zeitgeist for weeks, right? Like that's the guy who performed last year, right? And if you keep going down the list, it's not like we're just picking people off the tree like, this will be fine. Bad Bunny's one of the biggest international artists, just period. Not just in the Americas, right? Because that was a big theme here. It's not just the United States, but all the Americas together. Like he's one of the biggest in the world. This is a world tour guy. You got a world tour guy doing a world class performance. So shout out Bad Bunny for that. You could have dropped an A in language. Vibes are fun.
I will say, I think I have a little bit different perspective of Bad Bunny because I don't know his music so much, but he was in WWE a lot. And so like I love Bad Bunny. Like I was like, I don't know a single song by Bad Bunny. But there was a pay-per-view in Puerto Rico. And if you are at all interested in like seeing hype, sometimes I'll go through and like, biggest pops in WWE history or whatever. When he came out to his song in Puerto Rico, dude, he blew the freaking building up. He's awesome. I love Bad Bunny. He does a bunch of cool stuff. I heard he was funny in Happy Gilmore too. That movie sucks, but it's good that he was funny in it. Hate that movie. But I kind of going one off Jerry said, this dude is internationally around the world adored. Like people love Bad Bunny. And I think a lot of people are just not listening to music that they can't understand. I'm one of them. I don't listen to songs in other languages. Now you have like K-pop and like, Latin artists and people just like to vibe. I can get behind that. I think what also kind of hurt this is that the game was kind of boring.
Yeah.
And then it's like when you go to the halftime show like last year with Kendrick, I love Kendrick Lamar. I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan. So when he's going, I'm like singing along and da 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 da. And like Jerry said, I didn't necessarily dance. I was sitting on my couch and I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. Oh, there's Pedro Pascal. Oh, that's crazy. Like I do sympathize with people who were like, I didn't like it when it's just like, okay, yeah, like this is cool. That's cool. I don't know what's happening, but this is awesome. But I also sympathize with like the idea that this is a reach to people who are not necessarily in the NFL space. We saw it last year, all year. People complained about it. But the Swifties, now millions of Swifties were watching the NFL, and they were just waiting for that one shot of Taylor Swift in the booth or, Travis Kelce to get a catch. And they go, oh my God, it's Taylor Swift's husband or whatever, boyfriend. So I didn't tune into a different halftime show per se.
I don't think any of us did.
I didn't.
I was down to check it out, and yes, the my girlfriend kept going, "You know this song," and I was like, "How could I possibly decipher what this song is? Like, how is that even possible?" But I was like, "Yeah, okay, no." So it was cool. I love Bad Bunny. I think he's awesome. And then especially after like him kind of like sweeping the Grammys, for him to now have this moment, it's just so cool when a dude like was in the WWE, he's actually a good wrestler, like he's good at it. And then now he's a Grammy Award winning artist, and now he's at the Super Bowl. It's cool to see someone that seems as kind hearted as Bad Bunny to have a lot of success. And I think he had a lot of good messages. Around the political climate. Of course, people still find reasons to argue about this. We won't get into that. People always argue. But also there's a group of people that hate the Super Bowl halftime performance no matter what.
Yeah.
You guys remember the Coldplay performance?
I thought that was great. I love Coldplay.
Yeah, people hated the Coldplay performance. That's like the most mayonnaise thing that's ever happened. Yeah. They're like, why isn't Janet Jackson's boob exposed? What's happening? But yeah, there's people will hate the halftime shows no matter what. I did not hate this. I found it a little boring because I couldn't sing along and the game was kind of boring. But it's not necessarily for me. It's for the broader reach of more people to watch the NFL. And if the NFL is getting money,
there'll be a lot of football. So I'm not going to complain. So Bad Bunny, great job. We love you here at the V.O.C podcast. And do another wrestling performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched. I think we've all touched on a lot of things. I think the biggest thing, Trevor, I like your point of the game. It adds more pressure to the halftime show.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, like this has to be something that blows our socks off and helps us remember the Super Bowl. I think my thing with the halftime show is we're gonna forget about who performed it in 2 years, anyways. Could you tell me who performed 2 years ago?
No. We were going through it.
It was
us. Like my brother. My brother was like asking, like he was like, guess this one, and I was like, I have no idea. It's so weird how it gets all like mixed up in my head. Like, Lady Gaga was the Patriots Falcons. Yeah. That blew my mind. I felt like that was like 3 years ago. That was like 10 years ago.
Oh Jesus.
Well, it's one of those things, and this is one of those things that makes the Super Bowl a bigger game. It brings in more people. It gives everybody a little bit of something, right? Like people that like football, watch the game. People that like entertainment, watch the halftime show. People that watch the commercials, you do it. So they're trying to bring everything into it. At the end of the day, it's entertainment. The other thing is this is just where the NFL is going. 9 international games next year. One of the games is opening up in Australia. To Jerry's point, they're going to new places. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a Super Bowl in London within the next probably 5 to 10 years. Get ready for that one. That's going to happen. And so, it's just they're trying to make it a global game. They're changing it up. They're expanding quickly. I think they're expanding quickly, faster than I think that they thought with some of these things. So having somebody like him on there to come on and play, and at the end of the day, it's entertainment. It's just for fun. It's just to let it loose. And, to have fun with it. Jonathan says, didn't watch a second of that. Nolan says, let it out, Trev. Been holding that one back.
Jesus.
John says, we need Chris Brown. I don't know if we need Chris Brown.
Slap in the face to Bad Bunny. But I will say one thing that was weird about this.
John says 2 years ago was Usher. Yeah, of course.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my Lord. Yeah, this makes me feel older than I am. I'm really not old. I know say one thing that I felt weird about the Super Bowl, and it's not a problem, but I also think it impacted the halftime show. Over half the game was still in daylight.
Yeah.
I do think that was just trippy, but also you want to make a performance feel bigger. Have everyone with their flashlight camera, the flashlight out at the start. It's like, oh, do one of these. It's like it can make a performance. I feel like sometimes even feel bigger. Like this game, in half of it, and again, it was also boring, so it really didn't help that I'm paying attention to the time of day. Like if that tells you anything. But it's like, oh yeah, here's this big thing. Well, it's nice and sunny. It almost felt more like Rose Bowl-y than like Super Bowl-y at times, because it's like, oh, beautiful weather, it's nice outside. I was in Chicago for the game where it's still cold as ice and all that. And so it's like, oh, this is nice. It looks really beautiful out there in the Bay Area right now. Not like, oh, this feels like a Super Bowl. Now, granted, they do it in the Dome every other year, so it doesn't really matter. Like even next year, if it's at the same time, it's in SoFi, so no one will notice. But I think that also made everything around some of these things around this game feel weird. And then, when it got dark and you could bring out the dramatics and the flair, game was over. So like that's how much though the little things matter. It's just like, oh, I noticed it was sunny outside. It made me feel a little weird about the performance because you didn't even get the golden hour shot. I think that's also what stinks. Is like you do a game time show like this, that's production to me. It's like, oh, I didn't get a good golden hour until they did the shot of the bridge, like in the middle of the second quarter.
Which was 50 minutes south of where the stadium was.
Hey, man, a good shot's a good shot. Don't deny.
I know, television. But it's just so funny. They kept showing, the bridge in San Francisco, and it's like the stadium's 50 miles.
Hey, it was peak television. Honestly, where I think the production was fantastic was the national anthem performance. There was two moments that were amazing. Actually three. I'll give it three. Was one when they bumped to the bridge again, where you had the flag when they were referencing the flag in the national anthem. That was awesome. It was like 2 seconds, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good bump." I literally said that out loud. Nobody else except my lovely fiance understood what I was talking about. Second was the shot when Charlie Puth's finishing of the Jets going through, and then the cameraman still being able to come back and catch it. Fantastic. That was awesome camera work. Shout out to that guy. And then, of course, NBC had one of the cameras inside, like a little webcam inside one of the jets. And you see the two guys fist bump, and then they go. Yeah. Hell yeah. That was awesome. But see, those are the things I watch for because we were watching field goals. So, if we're really getting into production phase, the scorebug's also fine. Just fine. I know they did do the playoffs, but just fine.
It's a lot better than Fox's scorebug. I'll say that. I will say with the national anthem, the thing is how they time it up so well. Of how like he's ending it, and how they're coming. I don't understand how they do it.
Also, don't bet on the national anthem. They're timing these things out perfectly. They know the answer. You don't.
It was under, right? It was like right on.
I don't know. I didn't bet on it.
I think it was under by like half a second.
I really like to when Brady Carlisle was singing "America the Beautiful" or whatever. When she said "Sea to Shining Sea," they showed the port in Massachusetts and then the port in Seattle, where it's like, yeah, it really is like sea to sea. Like, and I thought that was kind of a beautiful moment. It's like these teams across the country, but like we're all in between them, and it's like sea to shining sea, brother. So I thought that was cool. I really like that part too. But yeah, what Jerry said,
it's
cool.
It's the little stuff. I know Dan Patrick had Melissa Stark and Kaylee Hartung on, and they were talking about how just like going into halftime, both coaches wanted to be interviewed before the half, not after. So it was like having to. It's the timing of all of it. It's crazy when you think about it at all. But no, I think it was production wise, it was great. It looked good. I think NBC. There's a heightened to it when it looks different. I was able to watch it in 4K, which I told you guys is the greatest thing you'll ever see in the history. It feels like you're right there. But no, I thought it was good. So next year for the Super Bowl, who do you guys want for the halftime show? Johnson said Chris Brown. Who would you guys like?
I honestly don't care. I really don't have like a strong thing. It's going to be someone who's going to grab the cultural zeitgeist. And I think that's what is the last couple of years has been the case. So whoever's trending right now, oh no, this is the year we get Taylor Swift, isn't it?
I was just gonna say that. I was like, Taylor Swift is inevitable, bro.
This is the year we do it because Travis Kelce hasn't decided yet. He's gonna decide to stay another year, and then they're gonna announce Taylor Swift at the height of that decision, like 2 days later. And it's like, oh my god, the script writers are already working. The script writers never take it off. There's no off season for NFL script writing.
I don't know if Tay will do it though, because
she's declined it once. I looked at. We looked it up.
So I don't know if she'll do it.
I also thought, who did we say? Oh, you might have to come back to me on this one. I just had it in my brain. Oh, Post Malone. Post Malone. I think that would be like a good one. I mean, I don't know if he'll get the zeitgeist as much, but it all kind of depends too on like who has an album kind of releasing that kind of coincides well with the Super Bowl, because like I guarantee Bad Bunny's album on like Spotify listens has quadrupled, bro. I don't know if he just won a bunch of Grammys, so I'm assuming he's had an album out relatively recently. But I get it's like the world's biggest plug for your album.
Sabrina Carpenter, congratulations. You have gotten an invite to the Super Bowl. And if you don't take it, we are going to see you singing Pink Pony Club, Chapel Roan's finest, Missouri's own will be backing up because, again, scriptwriter's going crazy. I'm finding any way to put the Chiefs in here, even though America doesn't want that.
Trevor knows my love for this artist. Always her summer. Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa would be fun.
Dude, she'd dominate.
That'd be a good one.
She would dominate. There's no question.
Granted, it's another California one, so I want to California.
You have like two Latin artists back to back. I feel like I feel like because she's gonna go out there, she's gonna salsa dance, and I think she needs to be a little bit removed from Bad Bunny to really amplify.
You're telling me One Kiss right now would absolutely rock so fine. One kiss is all it takes. They don't care. Like that's
she would put on a show. That's Dua Lipa. I mean, she's dominant. It is in LA, so they may do LA based. Nobody knows. Last time
I wish they wouldn't have done like Snoop. I wish they wouldn't have done like Snoop Dogg and Dre. I wish they could have had their own Super Bowl halftimes.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be very, very interesting. It's always fun to speculate. I don't think we get that till like late summer, I think, is when they announce that sometime. But no, I think it's, one of those fun things to predict and look at it. Nolan says Rel said over 40 seconds on the national anthem. He timed it, is what he said. Jonathan, as a military man himself, the military in the Middle East holding that salute for that long would have been awful. Johnson says it'll be Jelly Roll. I
would hate that. I would hate that so much. I don't hate Jelly Roll, but like sad, depressing music, like at the halftime show.
What they're waiting on with country artists is when it's in Nashville. Nashville's probably going to get a run in it in the next 5 years.
That'll be Chris Stapleton guaranteed.
I said yesterday I think Chris Stapleton should do the national anthem every year. I get that they rotate it, and Charlie Puth did a great job, but when that man sings, especially when he did the national anthem. When did he do it, like 3 or 4 years ago?
I think it was last year.
There's a difference, man. There is a difference. So yeah. All right, moving on to commercials. I know Jonathan has said that it was the best part of his Super Bowl. Did I miss us talking about commercials? Because that was clearly the best part of it last night. I would argue that was the worst part about last night. It just Jerry is stating his claim for his favorite commercial.
I agree with him.
That's a great commercial, and it's also the timing of it's great with the Olympics going on too.
Well, and they had the eagle that like flies around the stadium and at Lincoln Financial. That was the eagle in the commercial.
Dude, that one made me. Oh man, I felt some American pride. I felt wow, and I watched that one, brother. I was throw on some country boots. I could have did it a whole different person. Now that, and granted, I'm very biased here. Watching the Budweiser ad and seeing the St. Louis stuff, we do appreciate out here. And I already watched it because I put it in one of my shows, so that's kind of how that works. No, I thought that one was the cleanest. Can we just ban crypto ads? I think that's my takeaway. I don't need to hear about your cryptocurrency exchange website. I did laugh at the Coinbase one because I'm like, how many Super Bowl parties right now are singing that song? And there's the people trying to watch the game and like don't care about the commercials, just getting absolutely hounded with everyone singing. I respect the idea. And I was like, oh, this is Coinbase? All right, bro. Like, cool.
I thought we learned our lesson on that kind of stuff. I thought Tom Brady and all them learned their lesson.
It's better than this QR code one. Also, please, if I see if we do another Mr. Beast challenge in the middle of the Super Bowl again, I might lose it. That was like, I was like, oh, this is terrible. This is bad. Like,
Jerry hates Mr. Beast. We learned that. Great. That helps our YouTube.
The vibes around Mr. Beast have gotten weirder throughout the years. Let's all be adults in the room here. That man's like out there in Dubai doing stuff and all this. It's getting weird. Like we're very close to very like Hunger Games, but just Mr. Beast world going than we were like, oh, here's this cool little thing where he does a ghost kitchen and you can get a burger. It's like, yeah, now you're gonna fund a death operation in Saudi Arabia for clicks. Like, I don't know. The Mr. Beast vibes have just been weird. Did you expect that take when we started talking about commercials? No, but here we are.
I didn't know you hated Mr. Beast. Now I do.
I kind of loved like the Jurassic Park commercial. Like if everything. Like they fixed it immediately, and they just like got to enjoy the park. Like it's like such a funny like idea for a commercial. It's like, oh, look how our router can help Jurassic Park not happen at all. And I was like, okay, yeah. It was funny to like see him on the rides and stuff. I like that commercial. That was funny. I'm a huge Jurassic Park guy though. I love Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I think my other takeaway was like the AI used in these commercials and how like lazy some of these companies are. I go to the Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah.
commercial where that was literally just all faces and bodies were not used from that person. And you think about like 5 years ago, they have all those people in that commercial together, and it was a good commercial, but it's just like the AI. And then I will say there was no Coca-Cola ad, but Pepsi, like they
Still the polar bear, bro.
that's what they're doing right now. I know
Yeah.
they've been beefing before that. I mean, this is
You know what's
that's
crazy? Their sales probably didn't go up.
probably not.
But, like,
I'm not a Pepsi guy, so it didn't matter.
I feel like that battle's kind of lost. Like, and that's sad for Pepsi. Pepsi's fine. I don't really drink either. But like, if I'm going to, like, I was driving back home today, I'm not getting Diet Pepsi over Diet Coke. Like, just it doesn't matter that they have the polar bear now. Like, the game's kind of gone there. So it's like, great, you stole them, but your market share is still like 30% less. Good luck. Like, get in more like stores. Don't worry, or not stores, like restaurants. Win there. Maybe not the polar bear, but what do I know?
I think the other thing too is how many of the commercials are sad nowadays. Like it's just like the chips commercial for Frito Lay's. It was a great commercial, but it's just sad. The one commercial, I don't know what it was for exactly, but it was like the family moved out of their one neighborhood into a new one, and like nobody accepted them at first until like the girl lost the dog and they found it, or like a tree fell in the neighbor's yard and they cut it up. It's just like I don't know what it is. It's just I feel like every other commercial is trying to make you cry.
Or get an AI ad.
Yeah. I
Hey,
mean,
you
that's
want a
just,
Claude? There you go.
it's just where we're at. It's not like what it used to be. You know, I mean, some of the big hitters don't even have commercials anymore.
Well, I will say too, I actually very much agree with that, Caleb. There's like a lot of brands where you're like, wait, what? But the like overall, like I guess like VFX budget for some of these things. There was a Snoop Dogg commercial where I don't remember what it was for, or there was a girl with him.
They failed.
Yeah, and the visual effects on that they created just for that commercial were like Marvel level. I mean, obviously it's way cheaper because Marvel, you're doing it for 3 hours. Commercial, you're doing it for 30 seconds. But like it looked crazy. And I was just like, the amount of money that gets poured into these commercials for the Super Bowl, which again, like the halftime show, is a great plug for Bad Bunny. Super Bowl is a great plug for these. Like I want to go drink a Budweiser with Derry right now because gosh darn it, that horse took care of that bird and then it turned into a big eagle. It was awesome. I love the shot when it's like the eagle's wings and then the horse. It was beautiful.
I will say too, they also when NBC came back to the game, they had an eagle that they showed in the stadium.
Yeah, that's Lincoln, dude. That's our boy Lincoln.
Shout out Michelob Ultra too. I thought that was a solid one, not just to go all AB on everybody. That commercial I feel like got lost in the shuffle, but B was like made for years ago. Where 5 years ago I was like, oh man, that Michelob Ultra commercial was awesome. They had a great storyline, all this, it was a good time. But now with all the other ones being like so bad, that one was just fine. It was the best one, but it was just perfectly middle tier that it kind of got lost in the shuffle. I was very impressed with that one. I did like the tight ends one. We have that up here. That was solid. Levi decided to really put up a lot of different questions for a lot of folks. I feel like that's the one that got a lot of talk right after. Like some of them are like, oh, this and that. You already know there's a lot of women who went to their husband's house like, oh, you watch that Levi commercial, huh? Yeah, hey, you're looking very interested in that Levi commercial. Like that one, but that's one that was good at getting people talking. So I'll give credit where credit's due there. This was the year I've walked away from the most commercials to get food. Because one, I've seen a lot of them ahead of time, but two,
I hate that. I hate that. It may be the worst thing. That may be worst thing of all time.
I'm kind of in a weird in between because part of me also does not like this, but part of me also likes the fact that is, especially because I now live in a city where multiple Super Bowl ads have impact here, right? Like we were talking about all the AB stuff. That's a great thing to run that gets people talking. It gets the people going. Now, I will say the teasers to a Super Bowl ad I find hilarious because those also exist. Trust me, I know. But like they did a teaser to the Budweiser one where it's just like a little like can moving to obviously like preview it. I'm like, I actually really like that a lot. That's like a new way I think of thinking about that is you can save the big ad and then you run it like 4 million times during the Olympics and then the impending World Cup. How many of these Super Bowl ads do you think we see again in the World Cup? I think that's a go.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see Budweiser played a lot. We're going to see that over the next 2 weeks played a lot.
The Ultra one will get a lot of play too, because in there one they get last 1 year that was like we're playing for an Ultra, blah blah blah. That one played that was the pickleball one I think last year.
Yeah,
I was saying the brand was good.
Yeah, I mean, and I think they're the sponsor of the Olympics. I think Michelob Ultra is, so I think you're going to see that one played a lot. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of movie trailers too. I think that's just a new thing. It was also $8 million for an ad this year.
That's about average.
Not only do you have to pay the NFL $8 million, but you also have to pay NBC X amount of dollars for programming or for commercial space throughout the year. That's kind of how NBC makes their money from the Super Bowl or whoever has it.
I thought there was a pretty crazy one. It was like an Alexa ad with Chris Hemsworth, and he was just kind of talking all the ways that the AI could kill him, and then we were seeing them. But then, like, that was like a commercial for AI or like to get an Alexa.
Oh yeah.
Why would that make someone want to buy? I didn't want to have an Alexa.
It's Amazon. They don't care.
It was terrifying, dude.
Well, at the end, it was like, I can make you a massage. Yeah,
and he was like, I'll do it. And I was like, dude, you just scared me. I need to get rid of my Alexas now.
Here's the impending world doom. Do you want a deep tissue massage? All right, it's all fine.
No,
that's literally the Amazon business model. It's just disrupting small companies left and right everywhere, but being like, we can get you your shipment one day faster. And then you're like, oh, yeah, let's go.
I will say that this is a little off topic, but I'm like extra nice to like when I talk to ChatGPT and stuff, just in case when the AI oral overlords come, they'll exclude me from all the suffering that humanity will have to deal with. I'm kind of like, I don't know if you guys have seen Rick and Morty, but like the dog gets like a robot implants, he's like a cyborg, and he grabs the dad and he's like, where are my balls? And then he lets the boy be like his like little slave because he's like, you treated me well, Morty. And that's gonna be me. While you guys are getting like working in like something terrible, I'm gonna be like Princess Leia next to Jabba the Hutt, just chilling with my AI overlord.
Appreciate that you remember me like that, Trevor. Cool. All right, love that. Speaking of like scary ads, Ring. That one is a little freaky because the guy was like, "Oh, do you want to be a police state where we take all your data from your neighborhood? Look at us, baby!"
Dude.
There's people ripping out their rings all over the country, I think.
Yeah, no, that one. A lot of
you lost your dog. We can find it for you.
I feel like this is one of the years for the first time in a while where I think companies really dropped a bag and lost even more afterwards. Ring probably did not benefit as much from their ad as much as it hurt them, right? But a lot of the ads, they usually try to be like funny. So it's like, okay, like Doritos. I'm not going to buy more Doritos because of the Doritos Super Bowl commercial, but you made me laugh, so I'll think about you, and we'll talk about it in a good way. You don't talk about bad Doritos ads, right? Do I really want to buy a Ring right now? Do I feel any better about Alexa? No. Do I want to get any AI platform now? Also, no. No. The one I think that lost themselves a bag was AI.com. And the only reason I remember that one is because I think their website crashed after the Super Bowl.
Oh, no.
And it's like, oh, no, you can't be doing that. Take that for what you will in terms of your investing. Please invest wisely. But yeah, you don't have many years where it feels like a lot of the companies kind of lost on that major investment, right? Like you have your classic stuff, like even Dunkin'. Now I'm not going to go to Dunkin' that much more or less, but I was like, really, guys? Right? Yeah. We were talking about the AI face and how weird it was. Dude, the impending SAG after a union where they go through this with all the AI stuff. I know they kind of did already. Oh boy, watch your movies now, because if these commercials are telling you anything, that upcoming negotiation with the big studios, that's going to be bad. That's a hashtag entertainment news. Yeah, we're venturing out. Football's done. We're talking big stuff here. We're up here.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows a different time, because I remember it was like, Super Bowl commercials were, that was kind of the biggest thing. It's just as big as the game. Now it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, so I don't know. It was just a weird year, I think, especially at Super Bowl 60, you think, wow, this is going to be different. But I mean, it's just, we live in a different world than what we once did, and making us cry during Super Bowl commercials must just be the thing.
But why is it still?
I think there will be a bounce back. Like, I think we've gone so far in the sad direction that people to be different will go more towards the funny, and then we'll have like all funny ones again, and then people will go more towards it'll bounce back.
It just shows you that that's
Time is
just,
a flat circle, as my friend Jerry would say.
yeah, that is true. That's what
Eric
Gerald-
Fetty's a White Sox. You want to talk about time being a flat circle? That's a very small one. 2 years ago, we traded him to the Cardinals. He's back in the White Sox. Like, yeah, time is very flat circle-esque. I wonder if the economic state of things depends on how funny the Super Bowl commercials are.
That is
Stock
true.
market's up, sad commercials. If we have like, everything sells off next year, we might get the funniest Super Bowl ads ever.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Everyone's
dude.
sad about their job. Oh man, that Super Bowl ad was hilarious.
Yeah.
Made
How
me
am I
not
going to afford
wanna-
the house?
Yeah, it made me not think about it for 5 seconds. Well, I mean, it was a Super Bowl. I mean, it came and it gone. Next year it's on Valentine's Day. And it's also President's Day is the next day. So everybody gets what they always wanted, which is basically the Super Bowl to be a national holiday. I don't know they did the logo for LA. Not a fan of it. There's no palm tree. When I think of LA, I think of palm tree.
There's orange colors in it. That means the Bears
There's
might be in it.
orange.
Oh, here we go.
Orange,
Yes, I love
yellow,
it.
and, there's orange, yellow, and teal. You know, you never know.
Give me Jeff Hafley and the Dolphins right now.
Oh, Jerry, that is terrible. That's awful. Jonathan wants our picks for next year. Well, free agency hasn't started. The combine's in 2 weeks. I mean, it's right back. The NFL doesn't stop.
Have you ever wanted to watch men just jog around in underwear? Congratulations, friends. Go to Indy.
Hey, that makes or breaks. You know, some of these guys move up and down. Someone's
don't
going to
break
be
the
a
fabric.
combine hero and get overdrafted. I'm presuming probably by the Jets or the Browns. Just calling that right now. And we'll see how it goes. But no, this season's over.
Hey, you know what? We're still in a really good time. I know we're worried about life without football, but college basketball is getting interesting.
Yes, it
It's
is.
that time of year. We have a lot of good teams, right? Caleb, big win this weekend, as you know.
Yeah, Michigan State is the most
State.
hated player in the country. Some call it dirty play. I call it winning.
You know, they're talking about. I saw people justifying that man getting shot. That's how big of a deal that was. So that's the type of world we're in.
Whatever.
The NBA is still the NBA. We didn't even get to the trade deadline. Like that's how big the Super Bowl is. But trade deadline was crazy. The NBA is going to get real interesting. The NHL playoffs are still here
next weekend too.
Yeah, that. So we still have plenty to talk about.
Olympics,
And
NHL. I mean, look, the football may stop, but this show does not.
no, and and when we get to the doldrums, that's preview season, baby. It's my favorite. We start talking. Everyone's got a chance at the title. Everyone can win the Super Bowl. Oh, that's part of the beauty of this, man. So, yeah, I know we joke around about it. We'll get into our entertainment bag soon. Don't worry, Bill Belichick's still the head coach of UNC. We have plenty of time.
His girlfriend has very fun T-shirts she wears now to games.
I mean, she wore that one to the Duke UNC game, and then UNC hit the game winner and did that comeback, which sad for me. Hate that, but great game, right? We're in that time of year. This is still awesome. We still have March, boys, and you know what? Masters is right around the corner. CBS is playing those ads, baby. I can tell you. Hearing the piano.
I do like the music choice that they've picked this year. And I'll also say we are, I think, a month out from 1 year of this show.
I was thinking about how close we were to that. That's crazy.
March, I want to say like mid-March we started last year.
We'll have to look at the emails or something.
Yeah, sometime around that. We'll have to
We
go
should
back.
have an anniversary show.
Well, you guys know I will be in the Michiana area. I can't disclose locations for some of the people who understand my Kalamazoo takes. Got to be, you guys stay off the grid a little here. But we'll have our anniversary, probably one of these or a couple of these.
Yeah.
No, I definitely want to do something when we're all in town together, like film like a video or something. Do something goofy.
He's always saying about content. We can't just be friends.
No, content's got to be in there somewhere, but. No, I think we'll do something. We'll hang out. We'll have fun, and it'll be a good time.
We're drinking at Corby's. That's probably what we're gonna do.
That's probably what we're gonna do. But no, I think when you look at it and everything involved, it's a fun time. March 9th was our first show ever, which is 1 month from today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man, that is crazy.
Trevor had short hair when we first started the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I did.
It's where we're at. But like I said, football may have stopped, but this show will not. We'll be back Sunday We'll break down, we'll get into basketball. We'll probably look at Olympic stuff. One of the curling teams moved on. I think the mixed teams, which I think I was watching it today, will be the first U.S. female to ever win a medal because they're in the gold medal match. So she's
Was that the
guaranteed
duo from Duluth?
Yes.
Yeah, that's such a hard name. I know you're trying to wrap this show up and get us home, even though we're all in our houses, right? But like the duo from Duluth, that's hard. You don't only get that in the Olympics. There's no there's no football combo. Two guys from Duluth, curling, baby. Let's go.
And they played the reigning gold medal champions, and that lady from Italy, she looked like she could kill somebody with just her eyes and her like intense like demeanor. Like the guy would like
go from Duluth, baby. Come on again.
The guy would have a bad throw for the Italian team, and she's just like, she could just tell. She'd be like, this guy sucks. So they moved on. So guaranteed a first medal U.S. Women ever in curling. We have hockey, which of course the women's hockey plays Canada tomorrow. That's only thing anybody's ever going to talk about. The men, of course, we're trying to get our lick back, as the children would say, from the Four Nations. But yeah, so we have the Olympics, NBA All-Star weekends next week. I see Mac McClung is not in the slam dunk contest, thank God. And college basketball. That's where we're at.
You're doing great, boys.
No one's got it better than we do, guys.
That's right.
That's right.
So no, we'll be back Sunday. Hopefully everybody enjoys the week and tries to figure out their life without football. But as always, thanks for watching.
Time to clean the house, baby.